I decided to switch up the weekly videos or monthly. I wanted to do the reviews, but I kind of got bored of that. I'll still do some, like I'll still switch it up, but I'm gonna keep it more focused on, topics that I'm more comfortable talking about, which is fashion, which is the business of fashion, not necessarily the pieces and the construction and the garments themselves, but more just, honestly, I'm trying to keep it more fun. And that brings me to my first tip, which is positioning yourself. And what do I mean by positioning yourself? There is thousands and thousands and thousands of clothing brands in different shapes and forms out there on the market today. The free market is great. Competition, the strong survive, the weak perish. But it also makes it very hard for new players such as yourself to get positioned in the market as an established and trusted brand. As we know, you can get to the spot in the spotlight, but staying there is different from getting there. We've seen it time and time again. Many brands position themselves and then they fall off when they make some trash. But that's not going to be you, because I'm going to teach you how to do it right. How do you position yourself? You got to get social proof. You got to be trusted by the people that are buying it, aka the consumers. You got to get trusted by the suppliers that are manufacturing it. You got to get trusted by the media. You got to get trusted by everyone you can by any means necessary. And how do you do that? You get in the trenches like you're a foot soldier in World War I. You get out there. You get the word out. Social media, email marketing, paid ads, getting influencers of various sizes to wear your brand. There's many ways to market yourself, and you got to do it all, and unfortunately, when you're first starting off, it's just you and your friends or you and your little team, because everybody knows like 80% of people in fashion are broke. That's nothing new. And it's just you and your friends in the trenches trying to get the word out. You gotta, do the shoots. You gotta make it look appealing. You gotta make it different, as we all know. It's hard to position yourself as an established brand that's different because everybody's already pretty much done everything to death. A brand has a hot year for, I would say in 2017, it was LV. In 2016, it was Elite. Back in the good old days, 2014, 15, it was Supreme. But things change, people get bored of it, and people's style evolves. You got to position yourself in a way that makes you stay relevant, whether in your designs, in your marketing, in your branding, in your relevancy through the media. You got to put a different spin on it. You got to have appealing. Everything has to be appealing. And you got to figure out that yourself, what your specific angle to the industry is going to be. Like I said before, the easiest way to position yourself in the industry is through social proof. So what you got to do is, especially as a younger brand, you got to grind for those first couple hundred, first couple thousand, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, or 3,000 followers. And then what you got to do after that is you got to start hitting the phones. Like this is, what's that movie called? With Leonardo DiCaprio? Wolf of Wall Street. You got to start hitting those phones. You got to start reaching out to micro-influencers, anywhere from, 3 to 30,000 followers. And you got to give out your products for free. So your products got to be on point before you even do this. You got to send it to them. Reach out to them on Instagram. Reach out to them on email and say, hey, would you wear my stuff? I'll give it to you free. I'll give you a pack. I'll give you da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, so on and so forth. And I would say 8 out of 10 times, I did this when I was first starting mine. 8 out of 10 times, they'll say yes, because they're just people like us. Hey, everybody loves free stuff. Like, it's simple. It's not rocket science. Once you do that, you'll get exposed to their followers, and the followers will follow you, and maybe even buy from you. Get, I would say, about 30, 40, 50 even influencers to wear your stuff. and then you can start building your content around that and go from there. This next tip is a completely different angle, and I just thought of it right now. And this one is to pick an unsaturated niche in the industry. You know, not everybody in the industry has their own brand. Like, as I said before, like, that's saturated. We don't need, you know, the world doesn't really need another streetwear or fashion or whatever brand. There's so many already. There's so many obscure, avant-garde, there's so many streetwear, so many high fashion, so many da-da-da-da-da, and so forth and so on. You know, if that's what your passion is, go by all means, go ahead and break ground into the industry. There's many other niches in the industry that you could go. Myself, I started in streetwear, but I pivoted to manufacturing. And let me tell you, it's been a whole lot more easier doing that. And I had a lot more fun. I get a lot more fun meeting the clients, designing, you know, working with factories. And most of all, nobody will tell you, a lot of people won't tell you this, but there's more money in manufacturing than running your own brand for majority of brands. Unless you are high profile, unless you are up there in the community, have a reputation as a leader in the industry, you know, majority of fashion brands don't make that much, right? So, but manufacturing, everybody needs manufacturing, not just the streetwear brands, but schools, you know, departments, businesses, everything, anything you could think of needs some type of apparel. So that's just a niche that I got into. There's other ones too. So I said manufacturing, building your own brand. Consulting is a good one. Styling is good too. Modeling, so on and so forth. There's 100 different angles you could approach it from. And you can still be a part of the industry, but not have to do the hard thing of creating your own brand. You can sell yourself to companies by consulting with them, building up your knowledge. You can become a fashion photographer. You could do a whole lot of other things and without having to do the legwork of starting your own brand. I'm not against brands or anything like that. I'm not against people, you know, having other people wear their clothes, because I know the pride that comes with that. But all I want to say is take a step back, and there is plenty of other things for you to do in fashion. Third tip is a big one, and that's focusing more on promotion and marketing more than you focus on the product itself. These two are intertwined with each other. You can't have a good product without a good marketing effort, and you can't market a bad product either. What would I rather have? A great product that has to sell itself, or a mediocre product that gets a massive push into your target audience? Because there's many instances of decent or even bad products getting pushed because someone perceives them to be greater value than they actually are. And that doesn't mean pushing a bad product. That just means that a great marketing effort trumps a great product 7 out of 10, well, 7 days out of the week. You know, they approach the industry from having the most sustainable process of manufacturing, the best, you know, design, the best, you know, materials that they use to construct. That's all great and dandy. Too many brands fail because nobody knows about them, and that's the problem. I would say if you're gonna split it in out of 10, 70% of your effort of your time needs to go into marketing and promoting, and 30% needs to be focused on, you know, improving the product. Get the product done first, get that out of the way, and then you gotta go harder with the marketing. Ads, social media pushes, influencer marketing, you know, media, you know, features, bloggers, everything. Anything you could think of. You gotta get the word out about the product. It's that simple. It's kill or be killed in this industry, just like it is in every industry. I just want to take a second to talk about my fit. I'm just wearing a generic button-down jacket, Vivienne Westwood, chain, and the Charles Jeffrey Loverboy cat ears hat, which I love so much. Something subtle. The fourth tip is connecting and your network. You heard it before. Your network is your net worth. Nobody really cares, is going to care about your product if it's just you promoting it. It's got to be in the hands of everybody. It's got to be in the hands of decision makers. It's got to be in the hands of influencers. It's got to be made cool. There's nothing that separates one brand's product from another brand's product, or there's little that separates the two. What the biggest thing that separates it is the perceived value that the client or the customer will get by wearing it. What separates a V-Loan tee and a Gildan tee? Not much. But the perception is that if I wear this, I'm gonna be cool. Well, if it was 2016, not much else separates the two at all, right? So you gotta be, you gotta, as I said before, you gotta place your product within people that can, give that perception to your customers that you wanna reach. You gotta make connections with models. You gotta make connections with influencers. You gotta make connections with factories that can actually make your product. You gotta make connections with media players. You gotta get connections with photographers, everybody. Everybody has to have their guy. You gotta have your guy. Who's your guy? Who can you look in your phone and say, I'm gonna hit this guy up and he's gonna come through for me quick. Networks don't get built overnight. And I'm not one really to believe in networking events. I don't really believe that. Your network comes from people you meet along the way in your journey. And if you gotta pay them in the beginning to build that connection, that's fine too. It's the same thing like making friends. The beginning is awkward and stuff, but working with them enough time, giving them a reason, providing value to them, they're gonna come back and do you a solid, when you need it most in the future. Don't be afraid to, do what you have to do to build that connection. Giving away free product, giving away promotion, giving away, something, your time, your labor, anything. Build your connection, and that's how they're made. This is a good one. This is actually a good one. This next tip is not holding any physical inventory. This is what I did when I first started, and it's a great angle to choose. A lot more pros and cons. And no, I'm not talking about print on demand, because that's pretty trash for establishing a proper brand. I'm talking about not holding any physical inventory and taking orders before you actually have the product made. What you do is you design the product, you display it, you promote it on IG, promote it on however you're gonna promote it, buy a few samples, obviously, so you can get people to model in it, but you focus heavily on the marketing, but you don't hold any products until people buy, and then you order a manufacturer and either get them to ship it, drop ship it for you, or you ship it to yourself and then you ship it out. Of course, they're gonna have to wait a little longer, but you give them an incentive for this. You give them 20% off on pre-order. Whether you wanna call it pre-orders or not, you can if you want to, but you give them an incentive to hold on. You give them a 20% discount. You give them free shipping on their next order. You give them 30% off on their next order, something. An incentive for them to hold out. And then you ship and you take the time you need, and you hold no risk because you already got the money to fund your bulk order from the factory. And it's nothing new, right? But a lot of new brands don't know this. And if their marketing isn't on point, if their influencer strategy isn't on point, if their social media is not on point, they get stuck holding the bag. And nobody wants to hold the bag. They want to pass it on like a hot tamale, because one thing about money, about making money, is money's always moving. You don't want to get stuck holding anything. Money's always moving, from the manufacturer to you, to selling it on a retail markup, to the customer reselling it after they're done with it, and so on and so forth. Money's always moving, and there's always value to be had with the product. I feel like I'm giving out the sauce. I better stop. I hope you enjoyed those tips. I wish I had somebody to tell me this when I was starting. You know, but I made a lot of mistakes. I got caught holding the bag. I got caught with my marketing strategy wasn't on point. I got, stagnant. My social media wasn't growing, and if I had someone to tell me all these things, at least some of these things, it would have made my life a lot easier. I need some feedback to see if this is something I should continue with, and I'll see you in the next video, I guess.